I don't know. I don't know. Wait. I'm burned out. I can't do this. I'm burned out. I bought a watch, a rebuy. I'm wearing it right now. And it was just emotionally draining. I'm burned out. I can't even make a video. I am burned out. No, I'm not burned out. I feel fine. Here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about solitude. So, I bought this house, which real estate people tells me is worth over $1 million. I bought this house based on a real misfortune of the person who owned this house. His name was George, fireman. Not only was he a fireman, he was a fisherman and a scuba diver. I know this in part because I do kettlebell workouts in my garage, and he put up some cabinetry, some shelves, and on the doors there are his decals like Tiburon Engineering, all his decals of the scuba diving. There are remnants of George still in this house. You know, he left in a hurry. There's even a lobster cage up in the rafters of the garage. I'm doing Turkish get-ups with my kettlebells, and there's a lobster cage up there. I've never gone up there to get it, but so I got to tell you a story about George. He was married, and his wife, a couple years before he sold the house to me, his wife, she had an identity crisis, some sort of a midlife crisis, and she wanted to be a pastry chef. George, send me to San Francisco Culinary School. I want to be a pastry chef. $50,000 he gives her to go to pastry chef school, and she gets her culinary degree. $50,000. This is hard for me to talk about. I'm getting emotional. She comes back to Torrance from San Francisco. Doesn't see his wife for like a year. She's working on her culinary degree, and she gets a job at the Torrance Bakery. She works there for 5 days, gets fired because she's incompetent and probably a little bit crazy. And next thing George knows, she's divorcing him, and he's selling his house to me. So I got this house. And he just bought like a condo, in San Juan Capistrano over 20 years ago, living in solitude, man. He's pulling a Robinson Crusoe. You know, I want to talk about solitude today. I'm thinking a lot about solitude because, you know, I was thinking of Robinson Crusoe living alone wearing a Panerai Luminor. And, you know, if I was Robinson Crusoe living alone on an island with a Panerai Luminor, I would like it, but I would like it more if I lived in Beverly Hills. There's something about wearing a watch that it's just more meaningful if you're in a public sphere, a public zone. There's something weird, excuse me, about wearing a watch that's when you're like in isolation, and so, you know, social media brings us watch people together is something I think about a lot, but not just watches. Like, I play the piano, and I love playing the piano. It kind of puts me to sleep, you know, playing myself my own little lullaby, my little ASMR piano. But, you know, I mean, it's more meaningful, obviously, if people listen to it and there's a connection there. Also thinking about pie, you know, making pie. If you make a really good Dutch apple pie, and who doesn't like a good Dutch apple pie? In fact, if you eat a Dutch apple pie, which has that cinnamon crumble on top, I think it's going to be impossible for you to go back to the conventional apple pie. You're going to have to stick with the Dutch. But, you know, when you make a pie, you don't eat it by yourself. You share it. You know, it's an act of love. And, you know, as a watch person, you don't just look at watches by yourself. It's not a journey that you do totally by yourself. There has to be some level of connection with the outside world. I mean, I always felt that you know, we join each other in social media. I've said this before. We're like cavemen at the fire. You know, we trade war stories. You know, people are at the at the fire. They're going, "Oh my God, McMahon did another rebuy." You know, and you know, we share our battle wounds, and there's a certain amount of connection that has to take place. I don't care if you're wearing watches, if you're baking Dutch apple pie, if you're playing the piano, writing. You have to connect with the world. Otherwise, you're just navel gazing, and it becomes an absurdity. Now, the problem, of course, with social media is that it can create FOMO, fear of missing out. I mean, God knows I got a great Seiko collection, and thanks to social media, people are telling me about the Seiko Presage Sharp Edge GMT 42 millimeter that's coming out, I think, in the summer. For $1,400, and people are telling me, McMahon, this $1,400 Seiko is so cheap, you can't afford not to buy it. And I'm thinking, yeah, they're right. Wow, because to get a Grand Seiko GMT, it's going to cost me close to $6,000. So I really have no choice now but to buy that GMT. I mean, we get into these ridiculous things. Plus, when you're on social media like Instagram or whatever, you're always comparing yourself or your watch collection to other people. In the end, the result of that is low self-esteem. And so it's an unhappy recipe. It's a recipe for unhappiness. And some of us, we find a good balance. We can laugh at ourselves when we fall into these FOMO traps, and we can still enjoy connecting with one another. Some of us have to leave social media. But I would just say, before you leave social media, you better have a good plan B. You better have a really good plan B, a contingency plan, because especially in this pandemic, I mean, a lot of us are connecting on social media. We're not hanging out in bars and cafes, restaurants. We're not having bull sessions in the den, drinking wine and sharing our watch stories. We're going to social media, so you better have a good plan B. I mean, hey, if I was to get off social media, I would love to be a pastry chef. Come on, man, make key lime pie and Dutch apple pie and stuff, but it would never happen. I have to share something with you guys. I have no fine motor skills. I don't. I mean, my neighbor for the last 6 months has been doing my bracelet adjustments. Actually, yesterday, Rafi at Watch City did this one. He wouldn't even charge me any money. I begged to pay him. He wouldn't take it. He's just too nice of a guy. He was just happy to talk to me. I hadn't talked to him in about 8 months. But no, my wife will tell you, I have no fine motor skills. You guys don't believe me? You guys, oh, come on, McMahon. Adjust your own bracelet. Let me tell you guys something, man. When I was 17, I got a job at a Chevron gas station in Castro Valley, California. And I was just pumping gas, really. So I was pumping gas. This was back in the day where you'd run out there and you'd pump gas for the customers. This was, there's no self-serve. And so I'm pumping gas, and I'm something felt wrong as I was pumping gas. I didn't feel like gas was going into the guy's car, but the money thing was going. And little did I know, and my fine motor skills are terrible. There was a kink in the hose. It was bent, and so gas pressure was building up. And I took the nozzle out of the dude's gas cap area, and gas showered all over me. I had to go home, take a shower, and even though I did that, I was burning. I was burning with fire. I almost died. So I go back down to the gas station. I have to take my shower, and Roy Chevron. His name was Roy Chevron. Who in the heck has the name Roy Chevron and works at a Chevron station? He says, "Hey, Jeff, sorry, man, I got to let you go." So I worked there for like 2 hours. I got fired. Yeah, I don't think I'll be a pastry chef anytime soon or doing my watch bracelet adjustments. So just wanted to share that story about George, man. I got this great house, great watch. Hope George is doing okay in solitude. Hope you guys are doing okay in the social media world. Tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta get out of this joint. Until next time, I'm out.